Hello everyone, and welcome to the Sheffield Hallam Library Services. It's very strange to be delivering a lecture like this online, when normally I would have been meeting you face to face in the library. However, I hope you find this introduction useful. My name's Julia King, and I am one of the subject librarians with special responsibility for social work and social care. In this presentation, I will give you an introduction to the library services. I'll look at giving you an introduction to searching for information, using some of the steps that you will need to work through in order to find relevant academic information to support your studies. We'll look at some of the key information sources, such as library search and subject databases. We will consider how you can evaluate the results that you have found in order to determine whether or not they are of good academic quality. And finally, we will spend a few minutes looking at referencing. Entering into the Level 6 top-up at university is a big step up from Level 4 and 5 study. You will be expected to do more independent study, with less reliance on tutor-led learning and more of a focus on independent reading, the use of journal articles, research reports, and case studies. But don't worry, the library is here to support you as you do this. Library search is your main way of accessing the library resources available to you. It's available 24/7, 365 for access to online resources. In these uncertain times, when we are all concerned for the health and safety of our staff and students, it is reassuring to know that you can still access the materials that you need to continue your studies. This year, more than ever before, the library is endeavouring to provide as much as possible in digital-first resources. We continue to offer online research and academic skills, and we have 24/7 chat and telephone support. We've also introduced a new click and collect service. Due to the need to keep our students and staff safe at the present time, and in order to comply with the necessary social distancing and requirements, we've introduced this new click and collect service. You can browse the library search to find the physical items that you would like to borrow and request them online. You can then select a bookable time slot when you can come in and collect the items. You can request up to 15 items at any one time, and once you have borrowed them, the items will automatically renew each week unless it has been requested by another user. At this point, we will contact you to arrange a suitable time for you to return the item. More information about the Click and Collect service is available online. If you do come onto campus and want to come to the Collegiate Library, this is our lovely building. Health and safety is obviously paramount at the moment, and here are a few of the things that you need to remember. You will need to book if you want to come into the library. Desks have been set out at socially distant spaces, and you can choose to book a space with or without a PC. Without a PC, spaces are suitable for use with laptops if you want to bring your own in. We will also be running a click and consult service in the library. Whilst it's not possible to browse the library shelves due to social distancing, you can use the click and consult service to access books and journals within the library. Routes into and around the building will be signposted to optimise the social distancing. And in order to allow for extra cleaning to take place, there may be staggered times when bookings will be available in different parts of the library. All users and staff will need to follow the university guidance on the wearing of face coverings, and the instructions on hand washing and use of sanitisers must be followed. For your safety, temperature scanners will be placed at the entrances to each library, and there will be Hallam help points in both libraries, and cafes will be open. If you haven't already received your shoe card, you will be getting that shortly. Your shoe card is your university ID and your library card. You will need it to come into the libraries. This will help us to ensure that the buildings are safe and secure, which is even more important now than ever before. The Skills Centre can help you to develop your academic study skills. The Skills Centre runs workshops like Introduction to Academic Writing, Planning and Structuring Your Assignments, Critical Thinking and Critical Writing, amongst others. Throughout Semester 1, the Skills Centre will be offering all its workshops and one-to-one sessions online. In addition to this, beginning in October, the library services will be offering regular weekly drop-in assignment support sessions on a Wednesday afternoon, 4 till 6 p.m. These will be available online and will cover help and support for academic and digital skills, information searching and referencing support, and regular guest support from things like maths and stats, English language support, and well-being. There is lots of high-quality help available when you need it. And there are lots of ways in which you can get in touch with us if you need us or have a question about using the library services. Hallam Help will be available in both libraries for face-to-face queries. You can contact us by phone, email or Twitter, and Hallam Help can either answer your question or refer you to the most helpful team. We also have 24/7 chat facilities. Connecting with the library and finding out what is happening is easy. You can contact us through the Hallam Help, Hallam Library and Hallam Skills. And we look forward to getting your feedback on our services. So please have your say and get in touch with us. So that's been a very quick introduction to library services. If you do have any questions about us, do get in touch. Now let's start to think about how you can use the library and how you can search for information. I'm sure that the majority of you will be familiar with search engines like Google. Google is easy to search and familiar to us. So why can't we just stick with this to find our information? Well, yes, you will find some information on Google, but not everything. Remember, Level 6 study requires you to research and find relevant information. Google only has a fraction of the academic information available on it, and lots of this can be hidden behind paywalls. Some of you may have already had experiences of times when you found an ideal book or journal article on Google, but when you try to access the full text, you are asked to pay. Whilst at university, your library can help you with this. We spend over £3 million each year on providing high-quality academic information, and increasingly this is all available online. This diagram is a visual representation of the process that you will be going through whenever you are looking for information, regardless of what that information is. You start at the top and work clockwise around it. So you will start with identifying that you have an information need. You will identify what that need is and what the key words or key terms are that you want to use in your searching. You will then move on to deciding which search engine you want to use to look for the information, and you'll perform the search on that search engine. After performing the search, you will evaluate the results that you are getting. It's at this point of evaluation that you might decide that you need to go back and alter your search. Perhaps you didn't use the right keywords, or perhaps you chose the wrong search engine. So depending on the results you're getting, you may do these stages a few times before you finally get the results that you want to use. You then use them in your assignments, referencing them correctly. So, what would you call these? Pause the video here and take a few minutes to think about all of the different ways this foodstuff could be described. You might be surprised to discover that there are, in fact, many different ways that you can describe this foodstuff, ranging from bread roll to bun, to barm cake, to stotty, tea cake, etc. If you are wanting to find information on this and you only use one term, you may find that you are missing out on some important relevant information. So when you are identifying your keywords, you also need to think about any alternative ways the literature might describe your subject. So having identified your keywords, you then need to decide where it is you want to search and what type of information do you need. Books versus journals. Textbooks and journals both have their place in academic research, and at level 6 you will be expected to use both, but especially journal articles. Textbooks are good for their in-depth and broad examination of a topic. They will contain more complete information, such as the causes, effects, long-term consequences, and fuller conclusions. They will provide a deeper analysis and give a broader historical perspective, providing more context both within and outside of a discipline. Textbooks may well contain original research covering multiple experiments or span several years. They will also have a cumulative coverage of the topic and be longer in length, typically over 100 pages. However, textbooks take a long time to be published, typically up to 1 year or even longer. So there is a greater time lag between an event or discovery and the books being published. Journals, on the other hand, may be in depth, but usually on a single subject. Articles will cover recent developments and events with little time lapse. The information will be current, but possibly incomplete, and may capture the spirit of the moment, especially things like newspapers and magazines. Journal articles are great for subjects that are rapidly changing over time or are time sensitive, such as, for example, research on COVID-19. Journal articles can contain original research and focus on one experiment, or may report on research in an area. Journals don't tend to provide the broader historical overview or context, and they are generally shorter than books. You can save a lot of time by using your reading lists online. As with your studies at level 4 and 5, your reading list is a great way to get started on a new topic. Each module at level 6 will have its own module reading list, or RLO, which will introduce you to the area of study. But you will be expected to supplement this reading with your own research. Your RLOs will be found on your Blackboard module site. Reading lists versus self-discovery reading. Reading lists are a great place to start. but your self-discovery wider reading at level 6 will enhance your knowledge and earn you higher marks. Using library search and subject databases to do this wider reading will benefit you greatly in your research. Library search is currently being updated, and in the next couple of weeks it might look slightly different. This is a mock-up of what we hope it will be looking like in a few weeks. So the demonstration that I'm about to do now might look slightly different, but the process of doing the search will be the same. This is the current library search, and as you can see, it looks rather different to the new library search, which will be available shortly. But the process is the same. You will have a box at the top where you can enter your search terms. So I'm going to have a look for information on research in social work. I don't have a particular title in mind. I just know that my subject is to do with research and social work. So I can just enter those keywords, research, social work, and search. The way that library search works is that it will go away and look for anything that has the 3 words in the results. So at this stage, I found over 9 million results for research social work. We can then use the filters on the left-hand side, I come down slightly, to narrow my search and focus it more. So, for example, I might decide that I only want to have books or electronic books. On the left-hand side, there is a filter. So I can click onto that filter, and library search will go away, and now my results are showing just books or online books. Because I might be working from home, I might decide that I only want to have items that are available online. Again, on the left-hand side, there is an option just to view online resources. So I can click onto that. I've now got 29,000 results, which are all going to be available online. And we can tell that by this available online option here. One other way that I can reduce the number of results that I'm getting, and which you might want to consider when doing your research, is your date range. At the moment, I'm retrieving anything from 1651 to 2020. Generally speaking, information published within the last 5 or possibly 10 years is going to be relevant. So I'm going to change my date to search from 2015 to 2020 and refine. And now my list has come down to 8,000 results. I could continue to use the filters on the left-hand side if I wanted to bring that number down more, or I could start to look through the results. As I say, this might look slightly different in a few weeks' time when the new Library Gateway is available, but the principles of searching will be the same, and you should be able to pick it up fairly quickly. So here we have an example of a hypothetical assignment brief to critically evaluate approaches to service delivery, justify and employ appropriate strategies for improving the quality of practice which contributes to the development and delivery of safe and effective services for service users and carers. Pause the video for a moment here and make a note of what you think are the key words that you could pick out from this statement. One of the common mistakes that students often make when they start their research is to try and put in all of their assignment brief title. The key thing for effective literature searching is to pick out the key words or concepts from that statement so that you can search for the relevant information. So from this statement, service delivery, quality of practice, and service users or carers might be the keywords that you would pick out. Following identifying the keywords that you want to use, we then need to consider what are the alternative terms or concepts that might be used in the literature. If you think back to our buns slide and we looked at different ways of describing bread buns, there are different ways of describing the key concepts. So for service delivery, we might look at facility or provision, package or deal, distribution, transfer, provision or supply are all ways of saying the same thing. Quality of practice, we could search for standard, superior or highest attainment. Users and carers, there are a number of different ways that this could be described, ranging from consumers to clients to patients to social workers, etc. Identifying the keywords and the alternative keywords will make your searches more comprehensive and ensure that you are getting all of the information that you need. So we've identified the keywords that we want to use, and we've decided where we want to search and how. We've searched on Library Search. We can look at some of the other resources that are available to us. Before we move on to actually searching on these resources, just a quick word about how you can combine your keywords. There are a number of terms that we refer to as Boolean searching or combining. These are use of the terms such as and to narrow your search. Both concepts must appear in your search, or will broaden your search as either term could appear, and not would exclude any unwanted terms. This short video will explain this in more detail. The specialist resources or subject databases can be found on Library Search through your subject guide. And the subject guide that I would recommend you use is the one for social work and social care. However, you might at some point want to have a look at the other subject guides for health, nursing and midwifery. So here's the subject guide for social work and social care. And if I scroll down slightly, I will come to the section for journals on the left-hand side. If I click onto that tab, here you will find the specialist subject databases that cover various aspects of social work and social care. There are a number of these, so I will not go into each and every one of them at this time, but I do encourage you to explore them and have a look at the different databases that are here. For now, I'm going to go into the Applied Social Sciences Index and Abstract, otherwise known as ASIA. I'm just going to click onto that, and this brings up the home page for the ASIA database. In the top left-hand corner, it's telling me it's provided by the ProQuest organisation. ProQuest produce a number of different databases, such as ASIA, ProQuest, Central, PsycInfo, a number of which might be of interest to you, and they all use the same platform. So if you can search on one, you can search on the others. I'm actually going to go straight to the advanced search, because this allows me to use that Boolean logic, the and, or, and not options. So in this search, I'm going to look for service delivery and end users, and I'm going to change my final option to or, so and end users or patient. Notice here I've used speech marks or quotation marks around service delivery and end users. The use of speech marks will force the search engine to search for the two terms together. So it will search for the phrase service delivery and the phrase end users, as opposed to the individual words anywhere in the article. I've also used a star symbol at the end of patient. The star symbol is also called the truncation symbol and forces the search engine to look for all possible endings of the word patient. So here we'll get patient and patients, plural. So if I come down slightly, I've also got the option for peer-reviewed. Peer-reviewed articles are the academic articles that have been evaluated by an independent person or body of people with the same academic background as the author, and they have deemed it to be of academic quality. So your peer-reviewed articles are the academic ones that you want to be using. I can also change my date range. So I'm going to, in this instance, look for the last 3 years only. And then I'm going to search. And my search has found nearly 29,000 results. So on the left-hand side, I come down slightly. I've got more options for refining my search, or I might want to add in more terms to make my search more specific and focused. But at this stage, you've got your list of results and it highlights where your terms are. You've also got options to look at the abstract. So if I just click onto the abstract, this can be useful because it'll give you a summary of the article and you'll know if it's something that you want to follow up or not. It also gives you, under the details, subject headings. These subject headings can be very useful in order to find alternative terms that perhaps you hadn't considered before. So, for example, you might want to search for service development and end users within the health services. So you could add that term to your search to narrow it down and make it more focused. I just go back to my list of results. We've then got this option for shoe links. If we click on the shoe links option, it searches library search to see if we've got this article available. And here we have got the article and we've got a link to download the article. Sometimes you might even get the option to go to the full text from this screen. So here we have the option to go to full text or full text PDF. With the ProQuest databases, you're often given the option to look at the cited by and the references. The cited by option refers to people who have read this article and used it in their research. So if I click onto that, it takes me to a new screen where I've now got links to 2 more articles that might be relevant to my research. And if I go back slightly, the cited by references will be newer than the article that you've read. We've also got an option here for references. If I click onto that, I've now got a screen with a list of 32 articles which my author has used in the article that he's written. So these will be older references, but they might still be relevant to your research. This is called citation, incremental searching, or sometimes referred to as snowballing. This diagram demonstrates the incremental citation searching we've just been talking about. So from your original document, you might want to see who's read the document and used it in their research, the cited options. You might want to follow up the reference list from your article. They may be relevant as well. And finally, you might want to have a look at the authors of the document that you've been reading and see if they've written anything else on the same topic. This way of searching is a quick way of finding more relevant information on your topic. So the next stage in the research cycle is to evaluate the information that you're finding. Is it actually relevant to what you need? And there are a number of questions that you can ask yourself as you're going through reading the documents. You don't have to read all of the document. Sometimes you can pick out this information from the abstract, or perhaps reading the abstract and the conclusion will give you a good indication of what the article is about, and you can decide whether or not you want to read the full thing. Ask yourself, who is the author? Are they a recommended author? Are they a recognized author in their field? Is it somebody you know about? Look at when it was written. I suggested earlier on that when you're doing research, you might want to restrict your results to the last 5 or 10 years. Research needs to be up to date and relevant. So looking at the date will help you decide whether or not you want to follow something up. If it is older material, perhaps something from the 1990s, you might want to ask yourself, is this still relevant? Or has it been superseded by a new process, a new policy, new procedures? So look at your date. Is the content fair and unbiased? Look at who's writing it, if they are coming from a particular angle or viewpoint. For example, if going back to my buns slide, if I was writing an article on the nutritional value of Hovis bread, and I happen to be working for the Hovis company, I might have a bias there. So look to see if there are any biases, either conscious or unconscious bias. If there is, can the results be verified elsewhere in other articles? If so, that might be a relevant document. If not, you might want to consider using something else. And is the content presented at an appropriate level? Is it aimed at academic study, or is it perhaps aimed at a parent or at a primary school pupil? Just a few things for you to think about when you're reading your articles or your book chapters. So the final stage in doing your research is to use the information appropriately and to reference it correctly according to the APA referencing standard. There are a number of reasons why we need to reference. Firstly, acknowledging your source, giving acknowledgement and attribution for other people's work. It enables others to trace the sources that you've used, and it will help you to retrace the source that you've used. It's part of ethical academic research to acknowledge other people's work. Providing good academic references will also give you credibility and support for the arguments that you are making in your assignments. And it demonstrates that you are familiar with the literature. It also demonstrates that you are doing this wider reading that is expected of you at level 6, that you're doing the reading, you are understanding what you are reading, and that you are able to communicate your findings in an ethical manner. Good academic references also means that you will avoid any possibilities of inadvertently plagiarizing someone else's work. And ultimately, at the end of the day, if you can give good academic references, you'll get better marks in your assignments. There is lots of help for referencing, and RefWorks is a package that you might be interested in finding out more about. It's a package that allows you to manage your references. You do need to sign up for an account using your university email address. If you're interested in using RefWorks, you can come along to one of our RefWorks drop-in sessions that we run regularly throughout the semester. This will introduce you to RefWorks and show you how you can use it. One of the main benefits of RefWorks is that it will automatically produce your list of APA references. So it will save you a lot of heartache if you choose to use RefWorks. Further guidance on referencing is available on Library Gateway under the option for referencing help. So this is the guide for referencing, which is on Library Gateway. If we go to the I'm new to referencing, there are some really useful videos and a tutorial, this tutorial here. So if you are new to referencing, I'd strongly recommend that you have a look at this tutorial and this video. If you need to reference something in the APA style, the orange button, I need to reference something in APA, will be extremely helpful to you, as it highlights the most common types of resource that you might use and tells you how you can reference it. So I do recommend that you have a look at this resource. So in this session, we've had an introduction to the library services. We've had an introduction to the theory of searching and the search cycle. We've looked at a couple of the key information sources, Library Search and ASIA, and we've looked at how you can evaluate the resources that you have found to determine whether or not they are of academic quality and relevant to your studies. And we've also had a quick look at referencing. If you have any questions, please get in touch with us through the Hallam Help option or online through the student portal. And if you have any feedback, I would love to hear your thoughts on this presentation. Thank you very much for listening and good luck with your studies.